The impatience is real right now. We can feel things building energetically. North Node is in Pisces, Mars is approaching it, Mercury retrograde is approaching both of those things. The sun's still in Pisces, Venus is now in Aries, like in between Saturn and Neptune. We can feel it all building, right? But none of it is really fully here yet. And so that in between, that push and pull can be really frustrating. And this week is going to be a little moody. There might be moments where we are feeling social. There might be moments where we are not feeling social. So it's really important to honor that up and down, a little moodiness you might be experiencing and feeling this week as we are getting closer and closer to Aries season, which we begin next week. I'll give you a next week preview at the end of this video because I'm so excited for next week. This week is still a little bit of the in-between energy. It's still a little bit of like, oh my God, we can feel it. Oh my God, it's coming. Like getting these maybe subtle ideas or shifts or feeling things slightly change, but none of it's fully here solidified yet. And that's can be an annoying place to be where it's like, oh my God, I feel this. I want to do this, but I don't have the energy, or it's just not time yet, or there's other things I have to prioritize, right? I'm in this boat with you. I'm not immune to the astrology. It is showing up for me, and that is a lot of what inspires my content, inspires me to teach certain things in my membership and share certain share certain things with y'all at certain times. It's because I'm a little bit more intimately and deeply about those things inside of my membership community, the forum. In my membership, you also get access to on-demand astrology and human design classes, all taught by me on various topics in astrology, human design, numerology, tarot, among other things. But we mostly stick to astrology and human design for now. In there, and I just give more tea, more details of how certain transits are showing up for me and what's going on. Like I recently did a deep dive into the past, and I think that's very Jupiter retrograde energy. One very exciting thing we have this week on Tuesday is that Jupiter goes direct. I'm so freaking stoked. I am so freaking stoked. I'm really starting to think through experimenting with all of these things. And really, I approach astrology very scientifically in terms of the way that I learn certain things within it and about it is I experiment with them. It's very 1-3 profile in human design. Those of you that are 1-3 profiles understand. Or if you have the first line or the third line in your human design profile, you also understand a little bit about what it means to be a 1-3. We really have to experiment with what we investigate. And so that, astrology and human design for me is no different. And this is something I'm learning about planet exaltations and even planets in domicile. They can be a little bit over exaggerated. The energy can be a little bit over the top, overzealous. A little bit to the point where we don't even realize it kind of is all consuming. It's kind of all blinding. I talked about this maybe in one of my courses in the Become an Astrologer course. I don't remember exactly where I talked about this, but there was a point where I was doing a deep dive into the chart of Jeffrey Dahmer, and there was like a documentary that came out about him a few years ago, and I remember doing a deep dive in his chart, and he has so many planets in domicile. So many planets like in their home sign, which is what domicile means. I teach this in my intermediate astrology course, which basically just means a planet likes to be in that sign, or it is at home in that sign, and it's an area of rulership like Mars and Aries. And we're going to have, and that plays into the transits. And we experience that a little bit more often when there are certain transits. Like right now, Venus is in Aries. It doesn't like to be in Aries. Saturn also doesn't really like to be in Aries. Venus likes to be in Pisces, where we just had it, but it's so much to the point that it's an over-exaggeration. We don't even realize the energy. We don't even realize like the good that it's bringing, right? And it's kind of like we're blinded by it. We're all consumed by it. We don't realize how good it is. It's kind of like the privileged kid, you know, like the privileged kid that like grew up with a trust fund and like grew up with everything taken care of and doesn't understand that like real life can be challenging and real life can be hard. You know, that's how I see exaltations like the moon in Taurus or domicile like the moon in Cancer. It's kind of like you don't know how good you have it, right? And it creates this over exaggeration of that energy. And I feel we've been in that with Jupiter and Cancer. Everyone has been telling me, oh, people have been saying Jupiter and Cancer was going to be so great and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, Jupiter and Cancer is exalted. It's like, you know, it's over exaggerated in Cancer. Jupiter's over exaggerated in Cancer. Jupiter is already a planet of over exaggeration, of like blowing things up out of proportion, like to the top, like you know, like being on a gambling high. That is Jupiter, and Jupiter in Cancer is like that to the max, like that times 1,000, right? And Cancer themes of home, family, emotions. And not only that, but we had, if you have heard me talk about this before, you watch these updates every week. I was talking about this a lot at the end of 2025. Jupiter was challenging Chiron for a while. And that wasn't a comfy, good, all is lovely, all is great energy. That was very much like we're facing deep childhood wounds that have been deep seated in our identity for all of our lives. And now it's all being uprooted so that we grow and we evolve. Anyways, tangent. But yeah, I kind of am learning to favor like when certain planets are in their sign that they don't like to be in, because it's honestly, we learn more and we grow more. And we kind of, it kind of forces us to be more aligned in a lot of ways, which is ultimately more beneficial for us as a society, especially moving forward as we head into the 2027 shift. I'll be posting a video about on Tuesday on this channel here, going deeper into the human design of 2027 and the big shift that we're all going to be a part of that takes place next year. It's a really big time period of self-empowerment and individuality, of authenticity, of self-autonomy, and doing things in our own individual ways. And as I've been reflecting on this big shift that we're heading into, and the ramp up is now, right? And this week is a further ramp up. Like I said, it might be a moody week, but it is getting us closer and closer to the new chapter of our life that's building massively right now. And a lot of it looks like it's not happening because it's all going on underneath the surface, right? Like the trees are starting to bloom again. And it's like, but where was that all winter? Like I didn't see any of that taking place all winter. Now all of a sudden there's flowers and buds on the trees. And it's like, that's the energy we're all in, right? And it's no coincidence, at least in this part of the world, that is the season that we are in as well. I got off on a tangent there. Oh, but as I've been sitting with the moving into the cross of the sleeping phoenix big cycle that's starting in 2027 of self-empowerment and individuality, us manifesting generators, I really feel like are going to be pioneers of this, because we've dealt with this our whole lives of wanting to do things differently than everyone else, than the way that everyone has been conditioned things are or have to be. I experienced this with my journey at college. I was halfway through, totally conditioned to follow one path, and realized this isn't for me. Dropped out, worked odd jobs here and there until I found my way. That is kind of the path of the manifesting generator. We have to embrace our individuality because we are that example for others, especially as we get closer and closer to 2027. So it all starts now, even if it doesn't seem like it or look like it or feel like it. It is all happening now. might just be going on underneath the surface, behind the scenes. And maybe there's other things that need to be lined up in your life before things really fully start to bloom and move forward in the ways that you have been building for yourself in your life, probably for a while. So, is there anything else I want to say about this week? There will be moments of taking action, so that's important as well for this week. We have it's going to be the third quarter moon. I've been getting this mixed up lately. I swear, Mercury retrograde in Pisces has scrambled my brain. Yeah, it is a third quarter moon in Sagittarius. So there's going to be these things that we have to take action on, that we have to implement, that maybe were brought up with the eclipse. So, and then we have, like I'll talk about at the end of the video, next week, a new moon in Pisces. So very exciting times. Flow with your rhythms, and honor where you're at right now, because it's getting you to where you need to be in the way that you need to get there, the way that you will get there. So that's all I have for general update. Let's get into the horoscopes. Hi, Aries Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your perspective. There might be something really big that shifts with money or with resources at the start of the week as well. And as we get further into the week, it's all about how am I implementing this, what needs to change, and maybe my approach to this. There's also a lot of subconscious things coming to light for you and being brought up underneath the surface in order to look at, so you can grow and heal and not take it with you into this new chapter. So that's going to continue to be a focus. There might be something you're refining or changing about your mental health as it relates to all of that. Again, maybe that came up with the eclipse in Virgo, like I talked about in the general overview. There's a lot of themes this week of implementing whatever it was that came up then. But it also feels like you're going to be more feeling these changes in your identity and stepping more into that with more solidity and more embodiment, in terms of like, okay, moving forward with this new version of me now. I have more clarity. There might be a healing moment around that on Wednesday that takes place and kind of further integrates in this identity shift for you in a major way. Also on Wednesday, there could be some clarity about home or living situation or family in some way, and maybe something you've been wanting to expand or change about home or family. There could be this maybe sudden realization of clarity. And there's a lot of focus on, again, your inner world, your mental health, and how maybe your actual living situation is playing into that in a positive or negative way. Maybe something that needs to change about it in order to better align with something that fits you and supports you more so than what you have been in. Thursday, the emotional focus shifts onto your career. There's a lot of focus on maybe building something or putting systems or structures in place in your career and to build towards this new reputation, something you want to be known as, or something new that is happening within what you're doing for work and career that has been shifting. There's more of a focus on that and really implementing it. There could be something that maybe challenges these identity shifts you've been experiencing and have been kind of learning how to step into a new version of yourself. There could be something that about career that challenges that on Thursday as well. Maybe even into Friday too. There could be something triggering that happens emotionally with career that maybe brings up something within your identity, a further wound of like, okay, can I really do this? Kind of thing. It's kind of the energy of imposter syndrome a little bit, and don't give it weight, right? You are not that person anymore. So fully shift whatever comes up to heal it. Big click in as well. I don't know why I'm using that word, but big click in embodiment integration of some mental health thing too. I feel like your identity and these things you've been healing around it are really starting to stabilize as we end out the week. for you, Aries. And then Saturday, the emotional focus shifts onto your long term goals, visions, community, social media. There might be helpful people you spend time around over the weekend. Maybe a good time to socialize. There could be, though, early on Saturday, some big emotional transformation that occurs for you related to that area of your life. And there's a big realization and breakthrough of like, I have to move forward with something that I've been sitting with or reevaluating for some time. It's really all building as we end out the week. There's kind of this maybe sudden moment of clarity of where you're headed. Um, and it's kind of like a big push, a big go time energy as we get into especially Sunday. Um, yeah, maybe a good time as well to get a photo shoot. Venus in your area of you, it's kind of like you're more so feeling yourself as we end out the week too, and it's related to all these internal changes and shifts you've been working on and healing. So that's how we end out your week, Aries. I'm excited for you. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. I'd love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know, and I will see you next week. Hi, Taurus Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your resources. There could be some big breakthrough about your identity and relationships as we start out the week. And then the shift kind of occurs right after that, where there's like, okay, how do I implement this? Or are there things I need to really look at within my inner psyche, inner world in order to change, to line up with these changes that are happening within your sense of self and your identity that also relate to relationships. There could be some emotional breakthrough that came about, and Monday and Tuesday and some of Wednesday is really about integrating that. And maybe changing something about money or resources as well as it relates to that. There could be some further integration that the start of the week calls for you to take action on something really major in your life in order to have the changes you've been building towards. Um, Another thing about the start of the week on Tuesday, the emotional focus on your resources is directly challenging something about community or friendships or social media. So there's a big moment of, okay, I need to evolve something about both of these areas of my life. It could be money related, and maybe hanging out with certain people is maybe triggering something in you emotionally to look at. But it could also be vice versa, like people that you're spending time around are healing something about money for you and kind of helping you to step more into this identity that has been building and shifting as you have been going through this year, especially, but really it's been culminating the last 6 or 7 years. And it feels like there's something you get mental clarity around, maybe through that conflict or challenge on Tuesday and how to move forward. And onto Wednesday, into Wednesday, there's more of that. There's more of this sense of like, okay, here's what I'm doing, here's how I'm putting it into action and implementing it, kind of thing. Kind of like, okay, now I have clarity of what row, what order the ducks need to be in, like to get my ducks in a row, kind of thing, is how that feels. And now as well, Tuesday and into Wednesday, there's this feeling of clarity and externalization with how something in your life has been changing with what you do on a daily basis to support yourself. There's this externalization or clarity that comes about of like, okay, here's actually the routine I want, or here's where I need to go, or who I need to talk to on a daily basis in order to really start to see my life change and feel more supported, not only in your sense of self, but through the people that you have around you at this time as well. So there's a lot of breakthroughs and clarity that build this week. Into Thursday, the emotional focus shifts onto your perspective of life. So there could be something really big emotionally that you're getting clarity around and starting to view life differently, maybe even related to subconscious or past life things you've been focused on healing and moving away from, in order to shift majorly what's going on in your life. You've been cleaning up the underneath of everything. And so there's a solidification of that, especially on Friday. There could be something emotionally triggering that happens, maybe related to an old sense of self or identity, again, that you've been really cleaning up and stepping away from. And there's kind of this moment of okay, I'm not going to handle this how I used to. Like, I'm not that person anymore. And it could really click something in within how you view life and like your worldview and your perspective of life in general. As we get into Saturday, there's a big shift within your career emotionally. The emotional focus is on your career, on your reputation, on your image. So there could be some further breakthroughs around that and maybe implementing them within how you want to be seen, what you're building. That's more aligned with this long term vision that has been slowly growing over time for you. It's really like as we end out this week, it feels like you have more clarity on how you want to do it and implement it. And feel more aligned with it moving forward. Especially into Sunday, there could be some helpful conversation you have. There could be something that you really feel called to do or share in order to, yeah, like really start to implement what you've been doing. If it's been slow going or there's been some delays around it, it's like, okay, as we end out the week now, it's time to move forward. Now it's time to do the thing. So that's how we end out your week, Taurus. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments. Love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know, and I will see you next week. Hi, Gemini Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your relationships. There could have been at the start of the week some big emotional shift within work, within your subconscious. And as we get further into Monday and the rest of the week, the focus is on how do I implement these things I got to break through around, or these things I'm realizing I want to do and do differently about my life moving forward. So the first half of the week, there's a lot of emotional focus on your relationships and connections, maybe calling on certain people or spending time around certain people who are going to support you and making the changes you have been getting more clarity around making in terms of your career and what's going on with work. There's a lot of building momentum this week of like, okay, I'm taking the action. Here's what needs to be done. Here's how I can implement it, put it in place, move forward with it. There's also on Tuesday and into Wednesday something that solidifies with money, something that you get clarity around with money or move forward on in terms of your resources. And there's some sense of, okay, whatever was being refined or reevaluated becomes more clear, becomes more of an external focus, and something kind of solidifies in to bring in maybe financial support for you in ways that you've been wanting or putting things in place to make happen. um Tuesday and into Wednesday. Then on Wednesday there could be some I know some challenge between relationships and what's going on with work and career, but also from that comes this need to evolve something or to change something in a way that's actually going to be more beneficial for all those things. There could, because of that as well, be a wound within your long term goals, visions, or community and friendships, maybe social media, that heals as well for you. And it feels like this emotional support kind of clicking into place, maybe from people in your life, to move in this direction you've been heading with career and things related to that. Into Thursday, the emotional focus shifts into your resources, your shared resources. So this could be debt, this could be taxes, this could be inheritance or anything related to those things. It's the focus is on cleaning up and maybe getting some certain systems in place or anything like that with your resources that you're maybe sharing with someone else or borrowing from someone else or that's coming in from someone else. Also, that could that could maybe cause some friction or challenges with what is moving forward in your community, your long term goals, visions, and some new beginning there. But again, every challenge that happens this week is really forcing you to evolve or maybe shift something subtly that is going to be more beneficial for you long term. So it's not a setback, it's kind of like a recalibration. As we head into Friday, it feels like there's emotional tension between what's going on with resources and what's going on with your own money and expanding there in some way. But again, it could force you to kind of look at things differently in order to evolve something and change something to be more beneficial for you long term. Kind of like if you had some expectation about it, it's like, okay, well, this how it actually turns out is better than what you thought, but it might not seem like that in the moment. So there's a lot of kind of just trust and faith required as you move forward. And then as we head into the weekend, the emotional focus shifts onto your perspective of life. So whatever takes place around those things could really shift how you view life as a whole and really shift something about the way that you're just operating with all of these things in your life and moving forward with them. There's a lot of, okay, we're going this direction now with career. There's a lot of more mental clarity and action towards where you're headed with career and what has been emerging there. So as we end out the week, there's a lot more clarity and answers on how to move forward and what to actually do in order to make these changes and implement them in ways that are going to benefit you and what you're doing with career that's aligned with your long-term goals and visions. So that's how we end out your week, Gemini. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. Love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know in the comments, and I will see you next week. Hi, Cancer Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your work. There could have been something at the start of the week as well that maybe really was an emotional breakthrough or shift related to creativity, creative passions, maybe dating, romance, friendships, but also could very well be what is shifting and changing about your long term goals and visions, maybe social media, and how that implementation of those breakthroughs are showing up in your life. And then as we get into the week, it's really like, what am I doing to move forward with this? What am I really integrating? What am I changing in order to make this a reality? And Monday, especially, is the emotional focus is going to be on your day to day routines as it relates to work and health. So, really, what are you moving forward with? There could be something that's a little bit emotionally challenging related to that, could really challenge a belief system within you to look at and a mindset, a perspective, maybe calling for you to look at things differently as you move forward. There could be on Tuesday a helpful conversation you need to have or a challenging conversation that ultimately you see as a positive that kind of brings more clarity to you about whatever this is that's really moving in a major new direction and changing massively for you. Um, Tuesday into Wednesday, there's more of a sense of clarity coming out of a fog a little bit as it relates to you yourself. You might be feeling just more better, more better. Emotionally, there's this sense of like, oh, okay, here we go. There's a reprieve, there's a relief that happens. And you might get more clarity on all the things that are evolving and changing for you as we really progress in this week. Wednesday, there could be something that emotionally is healing for you as it relates to that. And maybe something about work, your day to day, or health, your mindset that you really have to take action on. And there's kind of this conflict or challenge that is activated for you to really be able to take action on this thing in the way that maybe it has been building, but there hasn't been like the energy or something there fully to step into it. And middle of the week, it's like, okay, here we go. There also could be something about that that really heals something within your career related to identity that has been shifting for like 6 or 7 years. There could be some further solidification of this new sense of self within how you're presenting yourself to the world, your image, and your reputation. As we head into Thursday, the emotional focus shifts onto your relationships. So you might be really spending time around helpful people as we get later into the week and needing to maybe also restructure your connections and your relationships in some way to support what is expanding and changing within yourself that you're really starting to implement more and more. Friday, there could be some tension between the emotional ability to focus on your relationships and what's going on with you, taking care of yourself in ways that you need. And that might also challenge a little bit something about career. It feels like the way to navigate is to maybe Yeah, spend time with people and in places, maybe your home, that feel really nurturing for you. Don't overextend yourself in social things. Into Saturday, the emotional focus shifts into your resources, debt, taxes, inheritances, other people's money, where money is coming from, where it's going. There could be some big emotional shift as it relates to that on Saturday, that has kind of been building for the last few years. And maybe you get a little bit more emotional clarity on how to handle it and what to do about it and move forward with it. There's also, as we end out the week, a lot of momentum on speaking your mind about something or really taking action on something as it relates to a mental refinement or mindset refinement you've been in with this Mercury retrograde, and kind of what about your perspective of life is changing massively. There's a big need at the end of the week to take action on it and to like really really do it, to really move forward with something, maybe at an emotional level as well. There could be an emotional purge as we end out the week for you, Cancer, as well. So that's your week ahead. Let me know how this resonates with you in the comments. I'd love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know in the comments, and I will see you next week. Hi, Leo Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your creative passions, your dating, your romance. There could be something Sunday into Monday that really shifted with home and career. And as we get into the rest of the week, it's like, okay, how do I implement this? How do I take action on it? How do I actually apply this to my life in order to have the change and make the changes that I want to moving forward in my life? It's kind of all about implementation the more we get into the week here. Tuesday, there could be something about dating, romance, or creative passions or projects, maybe children if it applies. That's a little bit challenging to your resources. That's a little bit challenging to where you're headed with other people's money, with debt, with taxes, with inheritances, with investments. There's been some big new direction you're headed with all of those things, and something about that you're reevaluating. And there could be this kind of pressure point on Tuesday that maybe forces you to kind of evolve something about both of those areas. Maybe this is like freeing up more money so you can focus more on creative stuff and just have more of a sense of stability with that. And as we head into Wednesday, the focus is really on, okay, implementing, taking action on what you got more clarity around needs to change with those two areas of your life. And there could be something about your perspective that really heals massively as well. Like this is an identity level healing with something related to where you're headed with creative passions and projects. And there's a really big mindset shift that kind of settles in on Wednesday related to what you got more clarity around earlier in the week. There's also this fog that kind of lifts Tuesday and Wednesday within your subconscious, within your mental health, something that you get more clarity around. And as we head into Thursday, the emotional focus shifts onto your structures, your systems, your routines. There might be a need for you to kind of speak up about something that maybe you have not I don't know, spoken your truth about or shared in some kind of way. It's like you can't ignore it anymore. You have to just speak up about it and speak your piece, and it's going to go better than you expect. But there is a need for you to really to take action on whatever that is, and like it, it might feel challenging to do, but it's going to heal something about you. And there could be also some triggers that are brought up around whatever that is and whatever you're doing and focusing on Thursday and Friday with work and with routine and with health. There could be something that further triggers a perspective, further triggers some identity wound in how you're viewing life as a whole, so that you really do some more cleanup work around it and you move forward with the new version of you that you've been stepping into. As we head into Saturday, the emotional focus shifts onto your relationships. There could be a emotional transformation that occurs within relationships, or maybe you get clarity about a partnership or something in your life that you've been working with someone. And there's kind of this emotional shift that sets in as it relates to other people in your life. It could maybe challenge something about career as well, or force you to evolve what you've been doing with career, how you've been going about doing it. Again, related to this clarity you're gaining all week around your perspective and really viewing things from a different place than you did even a couple weeks ago. And then as we end out the week, that really just amplifies. There's this need to, in a lot of need to speak your mind, and a lot of mental clarity that is starting to emerge as we end out the week, around whatever's going on with your vulnerability or intimacy, shared resources, this deep kind of psychological stuff. It's like you get more clarity around. It's like, okay, here's how I have to handle this. Here's how what I need to take action on, and how I need to move forward with it. So that's how we end out your week, Leo. Like, really exciting. um, Let me know how this resonates with you in the comments. I'd love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know in the comments, and I will see you next week. Ooh, shoots. Hi, Virgo Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your home. There could be something at the start of the week you get a lot of clarity around as it relates to your perspective of life, what's shifting with maybe home, with family, as well as communication, how you're sharing ideas and information. There's this emotional kind of rubber band that snaps, and you realize you have to take action on something maybe that you've been not wanting to take action on, or have been kind of putting off or puttering your feet around. It's like, okay, here we go. This is the time. There's a lot of momentum towards shifting something massively that has been in your field for a little bit, especially on Tuesday. The emotional focus in your home and family directly challenges what's going on with relationships. There could be, a challenging conversation you have to have or do have with someone in your life. Could be someone close to you, could just be an acquaintance, really anyone. And it's going to kind of give you more clarity on what needs to change and evolve about how you've been moving forward with all of these changes you've been making in your life, especially as it relates to relationships. There's a lot of clarity coming in about partnerships and friendships and relationships in general, and like who you want to spend time around versus who you don't. All that kind of stuff really solidifies in this week. And there's something about that on Wednesday that there's a lot of momentum towards taking action on, towards really evolving in your life. And there could be something about that heals some sort of money thing tied to your identity, heals something about how you've been handling shared resources, maybe even vulnerability and intimacy, things that have been healing there for like 6 or 7 years. There's a further solidification in emotionally. Something just clicks in around that healing and more solidifies for you than it has felt like it was before. As we shift into Thursday, the emotional focus moves into your area of creative passions, dating, romance. There could be something about that maybe is challenging your resources. It's kind of like the beginning of the week, something clicks in emotionally and heals you, and then something is a little bit triggered in you Thursday and Friday related to whatever clicked in, and there's this way that it shows up in a deeper way that you didn't really maybe fully see before, in order to have this even deeper cleanup of whatever this is, and to kind of bring some structure to your creative passions a little bit more than maybe you have had before. There could also be supportive people in your life to help with that, at this time, especially Thursday and into Friday. It feels like there's maybe emotional wounds that are triggered, but also there's support that you have from people, in order to kind of work through those or implement those in ways that are going to be beneficial for you and supportive of what you're doing and what you're changing moving forward. Friday as well, there's a lot of activity in your relationships. There's a lot of need to maybe speak your mind about something or have a hard conversation around something Friday into Saturday. Really kind of all through the weekend. Saturday as well, there's some big emotional transformation that occurs within your day-to-day work, your structures, routines, physical health, maybe even something you get emotional clarity around that needs to change within how you approach all of those that area of your life. And that's kind of how we end out the week for you, Virgo, is really needing to take action on something within relationships that's going to support where you're headed with work and career and more support your resources as well as your long term goals, visions, and community and how that is building and shifting and growing for you. So that's how we end out your week, Virgo. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. Love to hear from y'all on how these are resonating for you. So let me know in the comments. And I will see you next week. Hi, Libra Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your day to day, on where you're going, who you're talking to on a daily basis. There might be a lot of busyness at the start of the week. There could also be Sunday into Monday, something really big that shifts emotionally with money, with resources. Maybe that's something underneath the surface and how you approach those things in your life. It's kind of like this big push of tension to really shift something at an internal level about money and finances and how you approach all those things in your life. And then as we get into the week, it's more about how do I implement those things? What do I need to change about my daily routine or structures that I have in place in order to better support my money and where you're headed with work and career and what's changing about those areas. There, could also be Monday, maybe emotionally triggering conversation about work or with someone at work or something like that, that doesn't feel so good. But again, it forces you to kind of evolve something as it relates to those areas of your life. Tuesday, it kind of same similar energy on Tuesday, although there is a lot of more clarity that's coming later on Tuesday about how you want to move forward in career and expand within what's going on with career and maybe what area or what energy you've been stepping into and wanting to share yourself more in certain ways. There's a lot of momentum towards really doing something and taking action on it. It's like, okay, if there's things you've been putting off or things that have felt slow within work and career this week, it really builds a lot more momentum. There's a lot more just forward growth, even though it might feel challenging at the beginning. As we get deeper into the week, it's like it just builds all week. The momentum is building all week, and there might be something Wednesday you have to really like take action on in order to kickstart or more so move into the direction of that momentum. Again, there's a lot of clarity on that is building on what you're doing and how you're expanding with work and career related to that direction you've been moving there for over a year. As we head later into Wednesday and Thursday, the emotional focus shifts onto your home. There could be things about your home life, living situation, or family that you're really emotionally focused on, kind of just putting the ducks in the row, solidifying things, getting things lined up, maybe establishing some sort of new system or structure within your home and how you want to go about things. But there could also be some challenge between that and relationships and what's going on with relationships. And maybe you're pulled in these two directions. And it kind of forces you to evolve something about those two areas of your life and how you prioritize time for both, not overly one or the other. Friday, the emotional focus on your home and family maybe brings up a wound within relationships and kind of maybe triggers an old identity within you a certain way. But it's like you're not that person anymore. So it's kind of like I don't know. It's like you remember who you used to be and how you used to handle things when it would come up like that, but you're not doing it the same way anymore. And so it kind of solidifies in this healed version of you and how you approach relationships in general. And also this solidifies in this separation of like independence and codependence and really helps you to step more into interdependence as opposed to being overly enmeshed in connections and relationships as a whole. Into Saturday and over the weekend, feels like there's a lot more. Again, the momentum is like here, it's happening. Saturday, especially, there's an emotional transformation that occurs within dating, within creative passion, connected to relationships. It's really like everything that has been building these past few weeks, months, and even years, really you start to see kind of come into fruition more and more. And there's just a big, as we build up to this new moon in Pisces, there's a big, just like, here we go. It's all coming together. It's like an exhale, and it really is this moment of realizing like it was kind of happening the whole time, even if it didn't look like it until like we get into the end of this week and into next week. Um, yeah, I'm excited for you, Libra Rising. Let me know how this resonates with you in the comments. Love to hear how accurate these are for you. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Scorpio Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your money. There could be something that really was a big breakthrough for you Sunday into Monday with your sense of self and your relationships. Maybe that more solidified in for you as it relates to this identity that's been shifting and building, and what's been changing about these other areas of your life that are contributing to that. And as we get more into the week, it's like, okay, how am I implementing this? How am I moving forward? And Monday and Tuesday and into Wednesday, even, there's a big focus on your money, on your resources, on what you're changing or what direction you're stepping into with creative passions and pursuits in order to maybe have more money or better support yourself with resources and finances moving forward. There's a kind of like make or break energy at the start of this week related to both those areas of your life. Especially on Wednesday, there's big momentum towards just doing something that's gonna change that financial picture for you, and help you to step into this new direction that has been building for quite some time. There's also something on Wednesday that kind of emotionally supports healing something related to your identity in work or with work, or how you see yourself and what you do for work. It's like this big emotional shift, stepping out of that old version of you into this new version of you, and it further solidifying in. Um, and as we head into Thursday, Wednesday into Thursday, the emotional focus shifts into your day to day, your routines, what you're doing to support this new version of yourself, and way that your life is changing, and way that you're stepping into this new direction. It's like, okay, what am I actually putting into place? What am I actually doing? What are my routines? What actions do I need to take, maybe even on a daily basis, in order to support this shift and really fully morally more really fully morally step into it than ever before. There could be something about that that feels challenging, but it's just because it's like you're building these new habits, and it is forcing you and kind of pressing you to evolve and shift things in a major way that maybe you've been putting off, and it's like, okay, we can't do that anymore. As we head into later on Thursday and into Friday, the emotional focus on your day to day is kind of directly challenging something about your mindset, or there's this kind of push and pull between short distance travel and long distance travel. Maybe if you've wanting to make a long distance move or something like that, there's a little bit of push and pull and tension between those two areas. But it also feels like whatever's going on with your perspective of life, or long distance travel related to that, or maybe even education, there's a sense of a fog lifting in that area of your life, and getting more clarity on how you want to expand in that area and what you want to change and move forward with, in that area. As we head into Friday and through the weekend, kind of all begins on Friday. There is emotional conflict between what's going on in your maybe communication in your day to day, and what's going on with your routine, or what's going on with health, and that identity wrapped into health and work that I was talking about. That kind of is a focus for you for most of the week. It's like, okay, there's going to be things that really push you to evolve, that and way that you viewed yourself in a certain way when it comes to work or when it comes to health. There's a lot of momentum towards shifting it and taking action on whatever, maybe like channeling that into something creative. or some sort of like passion for you that feels better than focusing on the like wound or the challenge that is presented around it. And then as we head into the weekend, Saturday, there's a big emotional shift within your home or family. There could be clarity around something emotionally that you're wanting to change with your roots, foundations, home, family, living situation. There's something that kind of solidifies in of like maybe you're needing to move in order to support these changes, kind of thing, and what you're doing and to move forward in the ways that you really want to. And that's how we end out your week. It's a lot more of like, okay, I know how I'm moving forward and I just have to do it. Is the energy. So that is your week, Scorpio. Let me know how this resonates with you in the comments. I'd love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know, and I will see you next week. Hi, Sagittarius Rising. We start your week off with a kind of emotional renewal. There could be something though early on Monday, maybe in your sleep, even that really shifts emotionally. There could be some emotional dream you have about something you've been wanting to change with work or health. There could be this big sense of clearing emotionally and subconsciously that happens at the start of Monday, and then later in the day there's this kind of emotional renewal that comes, like maybe you really release something and let go of something, and there's at the start of the week this big emotional renewal that happens for you related to that. But it could also directly challenge what's going on with home, family, healing of childhood stuff or conditioning in some way. There's kind of this emotional challenge between you and your home at the start of the week, but it does force you to evolve and to change things in those areas that are going to be more beneficial for you moving forward. Especially as we get into Wednesday, there's this big emotional momentum to really change something or act on something related to those areas of your life. And maybe you're getting more clarity on what you want to do with maybe a living situation or a healing of childhood wounds, and it's like, "Okay, here we go." Like, I actually you have more clarity about what you wanna do, maybe with your home or childhood stuff, family stuff. It's like you just know how to move forward, and there's more like momentum towards it. There can also be this big sense of emotional healing between your sense of self, your identity, your appearance, maybe, and what's been going on that's triggering you kind of repeatedly with dating, with romance, with creative projects, and an old identity and version of yourself that has been tied into that area. There's something that kind of emotionally clicks in for you around that as well on Wednesday. As we head into Thursday, the emotional focus shifts onto your money. There might be something challenging about money and creative passions or projects in some new direction you've been heading there, almost like, okay, I know this is the path that's meant for me, but there's a squeeze with money or something like that. And you're having to kind of maybe just restructure finances and kind of get more clarity on maybe your goals with money are changing because of all of this. And you're like, actually, I need to bring in more to have more to work with or something like that. And there's kind of this conflict between those two areas, creation and money, but it forces you to evolve something about how you're handling and moving forward with those with both of those areas and things of your life. There's also going to be a lot more expansion between, as we get into the week with your shared resources. There's more clarity around something related to debt, taxes, inheritance, investments, and things of that nature. Although on Friday, there could be some emotional push and pull between shared resources and where you're pulled to structure or put in a system around your own money. Could feel like this again push and pull between that. But again, it forces you to kind of establish what you want to do moving forward with those two areas to have more balance. And later on Friday, there could be something triggering about that comes up emotionally with money, so that you really clear out this old identity and how this version of yourself has tied in worth to or value to production or creativity, or it's been limiting you. So there's this push for you to evolve, and it happens through challenging conflict. Not going to be super emotionally comfortable, but it is going to help you long term to shift whatever's coming up in those two areas of your life. And then later on Saturday and into Sunday, the emotional focus is on your day to day, your where you're going, who you're talking to on a daily basis, as well as how you're sharing ideas and information. There could be some big emotional transformation that happens in that area. You get clarity on something that related to what emotionally came up all week, and that you're restructuring. Um, there is positive momentum because of this towards what you're creating and what you're doing and what you're moving forward with, maybe even in work. So that is how we end out your week, Sagittarius. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments. I love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know, and I will see you next week. Hi, Capricorn Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your subconscious. There's kind of this at the start of the week hermit mode that's happening for you, maybe going within to really clear out some subconscious emotions. Before the week started, there was maybe some big emotional revelation about what's changing with creation, what's changing with your passions, dating, romance, maybe even too, and how that's tying into your long term goals, visions, community or friendships, maybe even social media, and something you want to like, you're realizing you want to change about those areas through some sort of like rubber band moment where it snaps back and you get this maybe sudden insight or clarity. So you're kind of reflecting on things the first half of the week, this big internal reflection, and there might be something about that that directly challenges your communication, how you're sharing ideas and information, maybe also challenging about conversations you have to have on a daily basis, or where you're going, who you're talking to on a daily basis. There's some kind of slowdown that's been happening there for you with the Mercury retrograde, and it feels emotionally challenging to your subconscious to kind of still be in that slowdown in a lot of ways, but it is happening for a reason. It's kind of like this internal cleanup that is occurring for you. And on Wednesday, there's something about that you're going to be activated into taking action around, maybe as it relates to sharing something differently, or really kind of putting a spiritual creative idea out there that's different than what you would talk about before or something. There's a lot of momentum that has built towards taking action on the thing and moving forward with it. There could also be something about that heals what's been going on with work, with family, with your home, with your living situation as well. Kind of how those all tie in together. As we head into Thursday, there's a sense of emotional renewal that comes. It's kind of like this moment of stepping out of a fog, in a lot of ways, like a mental fog. But there could be something about that your ability to emotionally focus on yourself. It challenges what's going on with home, challenges what's going on with family. And there's a need to really kind of maybe step into some new pattern with it, or evolve those two areas of your life in ways that are needed in order to move forward in a way that's actually better for you, more harmonious. As we head into Friday, there's kind of emotional tension between you and what's going on with you, and your relationships. There could be some way that you gotten clarity about a relationship, how you want to expand it or what you want to change about it. That maybe on Friday is kind of like add some emotional tension to your sense of self or identity, and what new structures you're stepping into with that area of your life. And on Friday into Saturday, there could be something challenging about home, family, in your sense of self that kind of forces you to evolve something majorly as well. But later on Saturday, it feels like there's a positive emotional transformation that happens with your money, with your resources, with something that has been changing there for a while. You might get more clarity on something you want to do or change about money and your resources as a whole, and there's a lot of emotional momentum towards doing so. And maybe it comes down to like a living situation or something with family as well that kind of propels you into more clarity around it. So that's how we end out your week, Capricorn. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments. Love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know, and I will see you next week. Hi, Aquarius Rising. We start your week off with some big emotional shift between home and career for you. There could be something you get clarity around of like, oh, okay, that's how I want to move forward with this. And then as we head into the rest, the rest of the week and Monday especially, there's this emotional shift into your long term goals and visions that maybe directly challenges something about money. There could be something really coming to light with money that you need to really take action on or implement or do differently than you have been. There's a lot of forward momentum on the direction you've been heading with resources and finances. Maybe that's more related to spirituality or creative pursuits. And as this week builds, there's a lot of momentum towards like really taking action on it. There could be some belief you have to release in order to do that or to feel more aligned with that in some way or another. But it does feel like Wednesday, there's some healing emotionally that is supportive for you in terms of changing your identity and your belief system as it relates to what you're doing creatively, what you're sharing with the world, the ideas, the information that you're sharing, and this new chapter that you're stepping into. There is emotional healing around that and clarity that comes really builds all week. But especially Wednesday, there could be something that really clicks into place. And then as we head into Thursday, you're kind of processing and implementing at a subconscious level what was coming up. Maybe do some like doing some restructuring of a spiritual routine or something to take better care of your mental health and focus on your mental health in ways that are going to be more supportive for you moving forward into this thing. It could directly challenge something you have to do or someone you have to talk to or somewhere you have to go, though, on Thursday as well. Um, it's a lot of how are you sharing yourself in ways you have held back from before for you? And there's kind of a lot of challenge that's going to propel you into evolving that in a big way at the start of the week, and really the kind of the whole week. It's gonna just build all week, and kind of there's things you have to do differently in your how you take care of your mental health and the routines that you have in order to do that. And there could be a lot of clarity that comes in as we progress in the week as well around how to do that differently and what you actually need to support yourself and not be so like one or the other extreme with your routines or things that you're doing and implementing that are going to be more beneficial for you moving forward into the rest of the year. There could be something really big that, clicks in Friday into Saturday around that also, that really kind of heals something about an old version of you, an old identity. Then later on Saturday, there's a sense of emotional renewal. There's a sense of big emotional transformation in your sense of self, your identity, and stepping into this new version of you. There's more emotional focus on, okay, here we go. This is how it's shifting for me. Here's what I'm doing with it. And you might even be, it's like you come out of a kind of fog. And there's a lot of clarity that we get as the week ends. And as we move closer to Mercury leaving retrograde, there's a lot more momentum and clarity on like, okay, I need to do this and move forward with this. Maybe related to money, how you're making money, what you're doing with it, all that kind of stuff, as well as we end out the week. And it just feels like you are more feeling positive shifts from that than negative at the end of the week, especially on Sunday. So, that is your week ahead, Aquarius. Let me know how it's showing up for you. Love to hear from y'all on how accurate this is for you in the comments. So let me know, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Pisces Rising. We start your week off with a big breakthrough in your mindset. And then as Monday progresses, there's this emotional focus that shifts from your perspective, your mindset, your belief systems, and into your career. And there might be this big push and momentum towards, okay, how do I implement these changes that are happening internally onto my career? How do I show up differently in my career? How do I bring this new version of me forward into my career and really move forward on all these things that you're that are building for you and that you're getting more clarity around as we just progress into 2026. Especially on Tuesday, there could be something that something about your emotional ability to focus on career that directly challenges this new version of yourself you're stepping into. There's a focus now more than ever to really step into this new version of you that has been building for years. And there might be something that kind of emotionally challenges you to do it and to really implement it and integrate it related to something that comes up emotionally within career or your public image in some way. That kind of extends into Wednesday as well, although Wednesday, it feels more supportive of healing some sort of old identity wound. It feels more like there's a smoothness, there's a kind of easiness in which you're stepping into this new version of yourself and just feeling more seamless with it, feeling more seamless with how you present yourself and how you have experienced a lot of change in not only yourself and your identity and how you present that to the world, but in every other area of your life that has rippled out from that big change that's happening with you, right? As we get into Thursday, the emotional focus moves into your long term goals, visions, community. It might challenge something, though, of your ability to focus on that emotionally, might challenge something about money or resources in some way. And what's kind of moving into a new chapter there, what's beginning. There could be this sense of like, okay, I know I'm doing this and I'm moving forward with it, but how do I structure it? You might need to call on community support or the support of a friend or someone through social media in order to feel better about what you're doing in this new chapter you're stepping into with money and resources. Friday, there's emotional tension between how you're expanding and dating and romance, as well as creative passions and pursuits, and what's going on emotionally with community, friendships, or social media. Also, long-term goals and visions and how you're structuring all of that area of your life. There could be this push and pull between creativity and like actually okay structures. That's kind of the energy, and it might also give you more clarity though on what to do about what's happening with money, maybe even related to like your goals with money changing in a big way. And on Saturday, late Friday and into Saturday, there could be this clarity that kind of snaps into place maybe through a conflict or a challenge in those areas of your life, friendships, community, long-term goals, money, that you kind of forces you to evolve, and forces you to really kind of step away from an old version of you or how you would have handled something like that in the past and step into this new sense of self more embodied and integrated. It's really all about you right now, especially this week, Pisces. Like, what are you doing to put yourself first? What are you doing to support yourself and your needs? And what else you're doing in your life and moving forward with in your life in really major ways. And later on Saturday, there could be some big emotional shift that happens within your subconscious as well. It's kind of like as we end out the week, you take all of these things internally to reflect on them, in order to kind of process and see exactly how you want to move forward, as things start to leave retrograde, and we get into this new moon that we have in Pisces next week. So that is your week ahead, Pisces. Let me know how that resonates with you. I love to hear from y'all in the comments on how accurate these are for you. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Ugh. All right, next week. Oh my god, I'm so excited. Next week starts off with a bang. It really builds this week from the 9th to the 15th, and then as we get into the week of the 16th, it's go time. Like there's really no looking back, and there's been this energy on and off all year, but really as we get closer and closer to Aries season and the spring equinox, like it is here. It is fully here. We start off next week with a moon square Uranus, which is like momentum towards really big change. We also still have Mars on Mercury retrograde, and then Mercury is going to go retrograde and move back over Mars. So there's a lot of forward momentum. Mercury goes direct on the 20th. We have a new moon in Pisces. Um, I believe right before that, either I think it's on the, it looks like on Wednesday the 18th, we have a new moon in Pisces. Mercury goes direct right on the north node. So there's a lot of mental clarity that we gain as this is building between our direction, like our new direction, not moving from the past, but moving from the future and stepping fully into this new chapter and new life. It really just is like, okay, like an exhale, like finally here we are. Although there might be some challenges with relationships, tied into identity things in relationships, maybe with money. There might be things challenged as well next week because we have Venus squaring Jupiter. There might be things that are challenged about how we need to expand and how we need to step into this new direction so that we do it differently. But we also, at the same time, have Mars trine Jupiter. And I feel like this has been such a theme. Next week, I believe, will be my year anniversary of doing these weekly updates with y'all every Sunday. I'm so freaking stoked and can't believe the year went by so quickly, but feels like such a long time also. And it feels like ever since I've been doing these, there's been this push and pull between challenges, conflict, but also harmony. Like it's all happening for you. It's all happening for a reason. Like there are things that are happening because of this that are actually beneficial. And we can't see that until we're out of the conflict and the challenge, right? Like out until we're out of the trees, we can't see the forest. That's really been the energy. And I'm really excited for my 2027 video to release because it all kind of starts to make sense when we look at it from a higher perspective and a very zoomed out perspective of why we're all going through this. Like it really is all divine, and it is really getting us to shed what we cannot take with us into the major societal changes that are taking place at this time. So much is changing about our world, and our reliance on the old we can't have anymore. We have to step into our own sovereignty and autonomy as we head into this new phase and chapter of life that we're in the middle of right now. So, yeah, really, really excited for this upcoming week and for finally for spring, finally for the energy of the new year, which comes on, I believe, March, maybe even March, yeah, March 20th, maybe March 19th. It just feels good, and it feels like here we freaking go. So yeah, that's what I have for y'all. Let me know how this resonated with you in the comments. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.